Hey Rob.
How you doing? Yeah.
So we are coming together today, you and me, to talk about first 100 days in labour, likely changes to employment legislation.
Yeah.
We're not legal experts. We're not employee relations
No.
or industrial relations experts. So we haven't got a view on everything. But I think we've got some interesting points on some of the things.
Yeah, they definitely have implications for people experience, and I think for data as well, which is obviously something that's very close to our hearts.
I guess the next thing in the legislation list and the aspiration list is around security for employees. So the removal of 0 hours work, 0 hours contracts, the right to flexible working from day one, maternity and paternity changes.
Yeah.
And I guess that plays into that whole sense of security in what I do. And from the experience at work piece, again, I think organisations have got a lot to do to implement change into their contracts.
Yeah.
But there's a positive for this for people in that organisation when they're feeling more secure.
When you think about performance, you know, when you're in a sort of a threat state, then the likelihood is that you're not going to be performing at your best on a sustainable basis. You might be highly motivated, you know, because of that, but the likelihood that you're going to be at your best and it is questionable. And it's a very, I think it's very understandable that businesses want to control like their costs, the fixed costs in particular. But I think some people still believe that if you it's sort of keep them keen, you know, treat them mean, keep them keen almost, you know, or if you keep people like with that uncertainty will motivate people. Yeah, it will kind of motivate them, but it's gonna like, you know, you can't imagine a scenario really where the people are sitting there worried about how they're going to eat, how they're going to feed their kids, whether they can actually get to work the next day because their car, you know, isn't working very well and they can't afford to get fixed. All those, they can't pay the rent. All those things. How those things can possibly lead to ultimately, better, more sustainable performance. So from a motivational point of view, it can't be helpful, basically, to have people worrying about that sort of stuff.
When I started at Tesco, long time ago, they had something called annual hours. And I remember when I joined, it was in April in 1997. And on my first day, they issued me my roster for the year. Every single day for the entire year.
Wow.
With an annual hours had built-in weeks off. You could move them. But they said every 7th week, you're rostered off. I knew which Saturdays I was working. I knew if I was working over the Christmas period. The whole year, and people would take copies of that, put it up at home so the family knew when they were in and when they were out. The certainty it gave you of what am I doing on any given day? Do I need to swap my 6-2 shift to a 2-10 shift because I've got an appointment? It was nothing short of glorious, if I'm honest, to what I'd experienced before. And I'm really I'll be interested to see personally whether things like annual hours contracts, which have built-in flexibility for organisations, come back. If we see more thinking about workforce planning, but I think the big thing there is the certainty an employee gets from knowing that I don't know if I'm working this week. I don't know what I'm working next week. I don't know what I'm earning this month is high.
That just feels like a no-brainer to me. You know, knowing what you're going to be paid. I think not everybody's going to be attracted by, like, you know, having everything fixed in terms of their hours, but you know, it just makes sense. It's all very well, you know, like being a student or someone and going, yeah, I really like my delivery job because I'm not committed to anything, because I have flexibility. If I don't want to work, I don't have to work, and then when I need to work, I can work. But that's not for the norm. That is not for people who have day-to-day responsibilities. What is attractive to some is not going to be attractive to the majority. I think there's just one thing I want to add about sort of 0 hours contracts, is that it kind of speaks to a way of seeing people, an attitude that you're not really prepared to make a commitment to those people. You're not really prepared to invest in them. So beyond just the financial aspects of it, you know, if you're not really like committed to them, you know, working for you for a certain amount over a period of time, are you ever going to be committed to their development, to other needs that they have? And I just think it's not just the sort of financial side of it. It's financial side's a big part of it, but it's just that whole thing about how we see people, and is it really, are they
a resource, or are they our people?
Yeah, absolutely.